Hi, my name is Suzanne Robbins. I'm the Director of Sales for Maggie Sotero Designs, and today we're going to talk about the anatomy of a wedding dress. Before we dig into the anatomy of the wedding dress, let's go over a few vocabulary terms you might hear when shopping for your dream dress. First and foremost, anything from the waist up is considered the bodice. Anything from the waist down is called the skirt. A train is what cascades at the back of your dress as you walk down the aisle. Now, accessories. There are a few accessories you will run into when shopping. Belts are very common, as are veils, of course, and jackets, and even a bodysuit that can go beneath that wedding dress. Starting with necklines, we will begin with our first example, a halter neckline. A halter neckline is simply defined as a higher neckline that comes out typically above the collarbone and just encircles your neck and fastens at the back of your neck. That's a halter. Next, we have a strapless neckline. This has been a very popular and common neckline in bridal wedding wear. And this strapless neckline also is a sweetheart neckline. So we're kind of showcasing two necklines in one. And a sweetheart is simply defined by a dress that creates the top of a heart shape. So very easy to remember. Following that, another straightforward neckline, and this is one that's trending right now that you'll begin seeing all over. And this is a squared neckline for the square shape that it makes on the gown. Next, our Paxton dress showcases a V neckline. And true to its descriptive word, it's a neckline that simply creates a V at the neck of the dress. Now this V could be a little more plunging, showing a little more décolleté, or it might be a little bit raised neckline as well. As long as it's creating that V shape, it's considered a V neckline. After that, we have a scoop neckline. And this neckline is simply a neckline that's scooped out a little bit lower on the neck, but it's rounded in its shape and appearance. And lastly, a bateau neckline, which is sometimes also referred to as a boat neck. Of course, I prefer the French pronunciation bateau. And this neckline is simply a neckline that cascades from a little bit farther off your shoulder to the other side of your shoulder and gives a little bit wider scoop look, but not quite as low as a scoop neckline. And that is a bateau. The next section in our Anatomy of a Dress Wedding Gown series is talking all about sleeves. And sleeves are trending right now in many different lengths and forms. So let's take a look at our first example. This is a cap sleeve, and cap sleeves can sometimes be worn draping off the shoulder, or they can be pulled up onto the shoulder, as we're seeing here with Giovanetta. Now these happen to be detachable, so you could also remove those sleeves and wear this gown as a strapless gown. Next, we have a gown style that we refer to as sleeveless, meaning it's got a shoulder line treatment, a strap that goes over the shoulder, but no actual sleeves sewn in. So that's considered a sleeveless dress. Following that, we have a tank strap. And so a tank strap is typically 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch in width, and this will run over your shoulder line. Now, as is the case with many of our Maggie Sotero gowns, Albany also has a detachable sleeve option that brides can purchase that match this gown perfectly and snap right into the wedding dress to give you a different two-look-in-one wedding day. Next is a spaghetti strap. And true to its descriptive word, think of spaghetti as being a very skinny noodle, right? These spaghetti straps are very tiny and skinny and just go over your shoulder. Next is an off-the-shoulder sleeve. And this sleeve, also very true to its descriptor, is a sleeve that just goes right off your shoulder line and it shows your shoulders very beautifully. And it can also be termed a neckline or a sleeve. So you may hear off the shoulder neckline or off the shoulder sleeve. And finally, we have long sleeves, which are a fabulous trend right now in bridal gowns. And this sleeve, true to its form, goes all the way down to your wrist. There are also other sleeve lengths which could be a 3/4 length that goes down between your elbow and your wrist, an elbow length sleeve, and a short sleeve or cap sleeve that comes about mid bicep. And this is everything you need to know about sleeves in our Anatomy of a Wedding Dress series. The next thing that's very important to determine when shopping for a wedding dress is what fabric is it actually made from. So we're going to examine some of the most common wedding dress fabrics in our Anatomy of a Wedding Gown series. Start with chiffon, and chiffon is a very soft fabric. It's semi-sheer, so you can see through it just a little bit. It has a very soft drape to it, and it tends to fall close to the body. So this is great for dresses that are sheath silhouettes that you really want to be able to swish in very softly and gently. Next is Mikado, and Mikado is in the satin family. Mikado is a matte satin or a dull fabrication that doesn't have as much of a shiny luster to it. So this fabric is beautiful and also can have some stretch to it, which makes it very comfortable against the skin. Now again, I mentioned that Mikado is in the satin family. So let's talk about satin right now, because satin is a little bit softer to the hand. So when you talk about fabric, sometimes you talk about the hand of a fabric, and that means how it actually feels. So as I touch satin, it feels very soft to my hand, whereas the matte Mikado has just a very ever so slight texture to it. Next fabric that you may be very familiar with is tulle, and tulle is a fabric that is very common in wedding gown skirts. Tulle is a netting that's characterized by the very delicate small holes in the fabric. And this is a fabric that is illusion, so it's typically layered and put on top of other linings so that you can't see through it. Now, when we talk about tulle, we also like to talk about something that we use sometimes in our Personalize It for Your Love Story gowns, which is where you as the bride actually have a selection of a few different types of tulle that you can change the layer of a dress. And one of these is called textured tulle. And this is a sparkle textured tulle. So you can see it has a little bit of a design with the threads weaving in and out and creating a bit more texture when you layer it beneath different fabrics of your wedding dress. Our next fabric is very similar to chiffon, but has a little more body to it. Now, when I say body, it holds its shape a little bit more. So that would be an organza. And with most of these fabrics, you can have different weights of the fabric. So this particular organza is a very soft organza that floats quite nicely to the hemline. There are organzas that have a little bit more body to them that can create even more fullness in a gown that would kind of stand away from your body just a little bit more. Next, we're going to talk about lace as well as embellishments with beading, because an all beaded lace is another fabric that you may look for in a wedding dress. And beading certainly is a stunning way to add sparkle and texture to your wedding gown. And you can bead atop any fabric, or you can have a beading on a tulle with just a very simple lining beneath the dress. So beading has pearls and crystals and sequins and all types of different embellishments that are stitched into place on the fabric, and that is beading. Next is lace, and lace has always been a very timeless and classic bridal fabric. And when I look at lace, there are so many different types of lace. So we're going to talk about a few, but if you want to find out even more about the different types of lace, we have a number of blogs that we've written on laces. So check that out. First, I'm going to talk about Chantilly lace. Chantilly lace is one of the most delicate laces. It's very soft, and a lot of times we'll put it beneath a heavier lace to help add that texture. Chantilly lace is characterized by its very soft floral look and movement, and again has a very soft drape to it. Another lace that is very popular in wedding dresses is called Alençon lace. And this particular lace also is known as re-embroidered lace. And that's because it's characterized by a little embroidery thread that's raised up enough that you can feel it with your hand as you rub across the lace, and it really creates a nice defined pattern around the lace that is used on the dress. That's Alençon lace. Another trending element to look for right now are three-dimensional elements, which can be also found in lace. So for example, on this skirt, we've taken some embroidered lace and we've just simply attached it on top of the lace that the gown is created from to create more of that three-dimensional effect in the lace. And those are the things to know about fabrics when you're shopping for your wedding dress. In our next section of Anatomy of a Wedding Dress, we're going to focus on silhouettes. And the silhouette is one of the key elements to look for when you're selecting the wedding dress for you. And we always recommend when you're working with a bridal stylist, try on a dress in each of the key silhouettes, because this way you can see and really hone in on which silhouette is best suited to you. First and foremost, we have the fit and flare silhouette. And true to its description, a fit and flare simply is fitted through the hips and then softly right at about the knee or below flares out and gives a little more fullness toward the hemline. That's a fit and flare. Our next silhouette is considered in the fit and flare category. We term this a mermaid because it has a fuller presence in the skirt. So true to the fit and flare form, it's fitted through the hip and then it gives that fullness toward the hemline. I always like to think about the shape a mermaid tail makes, and that's the fit and flare mermaid silhouette. And next, we have an A-line silhouette. Now the A-line silhouette is one of the most universally flattering silhouettes on most body types. So this is a silhouette that we absolutely love. And the reason it's called an A-line silhouette is because the shape of the gown simply creates an A. So it comes out from your waist to the hemline, creating an A shape in its fullness. Our next silhouette is the sheath. And a sheath just simply creates a very column-like, elongating look for you on your wedding day. And our last silhouette is the ball gown. And a ball gown is a very traditional bridal look. This is characterized by the fullness of its skirt, which is typically achieved through the use of pleats or gathers and gives you a lot of fabric cascading all the way to the hemline. If you fall in love with a particular dress, but you were hoping for a different silhouette, be sure to check our website or ask your authorized retailer, because oftentimes Maggie Sotero designs the same basic dress, but we do it in a different silhouette. So you may find a gown that's both a ball gown and then what we call a sister style in a variation that could be an A-line or a fit and flare or even a sheath. Happy shopping, and make sure you try on multiple silhouettes to see which one is really for you on your wedding day. Another very important part of the wedding dress in our wedding dress series, The Anatomy of a Wedding Gown, is the train. And a train is simply defined as the fabric that cascades behind you as the bride walking down the aisle making your grand entrance. Trains can vary in length, from a very short sweep train that just dusts the floor to very long, grand cathedral and monarch lengths. At Maggie Sotero Designs, through our Personalize It for Your Love Story program, we do offer train changes. So if you fall in love with a dress but you really wanted it to have a longer train, you can request that at your authorized dealer. Or if you want to shorten a train, you can also make that request as well. In addition to lengthening and shortening trains, there are also some accessories that we offer brides for their grand entrance, one of which is called a detachable train extension. And a detachable train extension is simply a beautiful extension of the lace of a train that will snap right into the hemline. And so you could snap it into the hemline so that it will extend this lace work out to create a longer, more elaborate train for you on your wedding day. This is a great accessory because after you walk down the aisle and have all of your gorgeous photographs taken, you can remove that and bustle up the rest of your dress, and your bustle is much lighter than it would have been had you kept the longer length train in place. For more information on bustles, please click below and see our section or our video on how to bustle a wedding dress. Another option for trains is the detachable train. And a detachable train gives you sometimes more volume and a lot more drama to your walk down the aisle by fastening right at the waist of your wedding dress through a series of hooks and eyes. You can attach this train and then it just floats behind you to give you a longer, fuller train presence as you walk down the aisle. As you can see, now that this detachable train is in place, it gives that grand presence as you walk down the aisle. It's fuller, it's longer, and then this can be removed and your dress beneath will be bustled up for your reception and dancing and all the fun to be had later in your wedding day. And that is everything about trains. Click on the link in the description below, which will take you to our blog to learn more about the anatomy of a wedding dress. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more tricks and tips.